All right, good afternoon. We're going to talk about Soma today. I decided to do it this way just because it's something different. I got my hair done today and it looks good, so I thought I'd show it off because nobody else gets to see it. And because I miss you guys. And so hopefully you kind of miss me too and you want to see my face. So you get to see my face. I don't know really how to do this video thing. I'm not good at that, and I'm very uncomfortable looking at myself while I'm doing it, but I don't know of any other way to do it, so here we go. And maybe if it turns out good, I'll send this to QVC or something as, a job application. I'm used to talking to myself, but not used to seeing myself when I do it, so anyway, here we go. We're going to talk about Soma. I thought it was a really good story. I hope you liked it too. It was a little bit different, but then all of our stories kind of are, so I kind of look for that now. I thought it was beautifully written. It was very poetic. The first paragraph was really pretty when he's talking about the wind turbines and that kind of thing. I thought, well, it's going to be nice, but it wasn't really all that nice a story. But anyway, we're going to talk about the author first. I was surprised to learn when I read the back that he was born and raised in Kansas. I thought this was going to be a foreign author writing about his home country of Turkey. But he's written a whole collection of short stories set in Turkey, which, if you're from Kansas, I'm not sure why you would do that. But anyway, I'm sure he has a reason. And when you read the back story or the back pages of the book, when you read about the author, he says something that a lot of these authors do about how they're surprised by the story and how he had to go back and read it again after he'd written it to figure out how it worked. And I thought, I don't know why they don't know how this story is going to end or how they are surprised by their stories, but it seems like a lot of them are, and it almost makes me wonder if they go into a trance or something before they write a story. But anyway, evidently he was surprised, and so was I. The story is set in Soma, Turkey. And so, of course, I have visuals, and I don't know if you can see them. You'll probably see it backwards. But anyway, I have to have a map because I'm not the world traveler. Soma, Turkey is up here in the corner. And it actually is the site of a disastrous mine accident. When you Google Soma, Turkey, that's the first thing that comes up. 301 people perished in that accident, and it was caused, I've got notes of you in case you're wondering what I'm looking at. It was caused by an explosion and an underground mine fire. 486 people survived, but 301 did die. And it's not unusual for mine accidents to happen in Turkey. They don't have the regulations that we do here in the United States, and the people were poor and expendable to some. So anyway, it was a terrible thing. One of the things that they mentioned in the story is how they were pumping air into the mine. They did that in the real disaster, in the Soma disaster, but it didn't work. They ended up with a lot of smoke and made the fire worse, and people ended up dying. Nobody survived because of that air pumping in. So they don't talk about that in the story, but anyway. Also in this map, you can see highlighted under here, Dardanelles. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, and that is where the site of the swim was, the swim race. The swim race is right here, right where it says Dardanelles, and it is 4.5 kilometers. I think I wrote that down. Yeah, 4.5 kilometers, and it bridges Europe and Asia. And it's a big deal. There, you can Google that too and see the race. And for some reason, I was thinking it was longer, but 4.5 kilometers is basically what it is, which is about a mile and a half, something like that. No, it'd be about 2.5 miles. But anyway, that's a long time to swim either way. But that is a real race, and it is an event that happens every year. So, but let's talk about the characters now. The main characters, you had Izzet, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, and Mesut, and the father and the mother. They were sort of secondary characters in the background. He talked about his father more than he did his mother. But when you read what the author says about this story, after he reread it, and it was all new to him, and he said the story is really not about Izzet at all. Izzet, I guess that's how you say it. Izzet, but more about the father. That the father was really the main character. And so when I looked at it again, I thought, okay. But we'll talk about that. We'll see if we can kind of figure that out. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and of course you can't answer me, but you can answer me by email if you like, or you can do this too if you have a phone. Come on, Carol, I can see you doing this. You could do this. But anyway, what'd you think of Izzet? He was kind of a strange character, very self-driven, very goal-oriented, but also kind of self-centered. He was a strange character, and I've got Squirrel Patrol going on back here, so and she's wondering why I'm not talking to her. She'll shut up in just a minute. That's Birdie back there. Anyway, what did you think about his friend? Mesut was very dedicated to his swimming. Getting off from work and taking him directly to that water treatment plant, which would be an odd thing to swim in, but and helping him with his training showed a lot of dedication on his part as a friend who was a year older than him. So I thought he was a real unusual character to put in this book. But I liked him. I liked them both, but I really liked him. He was a good friend. And how do you think he felt when Izzet basically became so self-centered during that fire or the mine accident, when he was trying to save people, and Izzet is just, I want the keys to the car, I've got to run this race. It was bothering him. So, I wonder how he felt about the lack of compassion by his friend after he had shown so much compassion to him. Like I said, the author points out that the father was really the main focus of the story. And the father, hard work. You see him as a hard-working man, a man working in the mines, a man trying to take care of his family. He even changed his schedule so that he could be home with his wife because she was afraid at night. Which means I think that he wasn't in the mine accident, but they didn't make that very clear. We know we didn't see him after the mine accident, so he could have perished in the mine as well. We just don't know. But I'd like to hear your theories, whether or not you thought the father was still alive. The father knows that being an engineer for the turbines is no better than working in the mines. And that is the goal of Izzet, is to be a engineer working on the wind turbines. if you look on page 199, there's a quote, and this is kind of the pivotal point of the story for the author. And I'm sorry about the glasses. Where he says, 4 years of school just so you can wear a bigger hard hat. If you're going to fantasize, don't do it on a budget. His father wants him to go further. He wants him to excel, and he wants him to reach his full potential. And he doesn't feel like just working in the air is any different, working on, engines in the air is any different than working on engines in the mine. He's never going to leave this village. And his father's hopes and dreams for him are to, go to school, obviously, be successful, but don't be tied down by this village. And so his father is a little bit disappointed that his son isn't going to reach his full potential this way. But he has, according to the author, he doesn't have the ability to change it. He doesn't have the words to give his son other than saying, if you're going to fantasize, don't do it on a budget, which I thought was a really striking phrase. If you're going to dream, dream big. Something that we want for all of our children. And even the main character, Izette, begins to realize that at the end he says something about this being two sides to the same coin. Whether working on the turbines, an energy, energy job, and working in the mines also energy related. But that was his dream, and his father really can't do much about it, even though he's being supportive. He's a good father. But I'd like to get your opinion on that too. So, the race was won. He won the race, which was kind of anticlimactic because we're worried about this mine accident that's going on, and he's swimming this race. But he won the race, and it was kind of a hollow feeling, kind of a letdown in the story. When he got back, nobody asked him how he did. He didn't tell anybody how he did. The people were focused on the mine, and rightly so. They were burying the dead. There was a visit from Erdogan, which was kind of an odd thing to add into that story. But the Soma mining accident in real life was very politicized. So I'm sure that's part of the reason that was thrown in there. Had I known more of the background of that, I probably should have looked that up before I even read the story. But anyway, but the only thing that Izette gets from that victory, that race that he won, the swim race, was he kind of thought about how he would tell his children in the future. Like that was something he would always be proud of, but won't be able to celebrate until well into the future. And that he met that goal. I don't know, it was kind of hollow for me, but sometimes goals are. So I'm going to make my little pivot, I always do. So how does the father's disappointment relate to how we fall short of our own potential? I think we're of the age now that we think our potential is met, that this is as good as it gets, but I beg to differ, I will. We have potential well into for the rest of our lives. There's always something that we can achieve something that we have left undone that we should have done. Another one of my phrases that I like. And how can we meet the expectations that God sets for us? What were the expectations when we were born that God said, this is my child? And how do we meet those expectations? How do we not disappoint our Father? Just like Izette sort of let his father down. How often do we do that? And how high has the bar been set for us? And I think a lot of us know that as Christians that the bar is set pretty high. And we always feel like we don't quite meet the bar. But, we have obligations because we were given so much is expected. And also, do we just do the things that we find comfortable or achievable? Izette set his bar sort of low. He set his bar to stay in that little village, even though he said, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to get my degree and then I'm going to be in the sky with the turbines. It was still an achievable low bar. And I've got a wrestling match going on behind me. There's squeaky toys involved and there's growling. And what do you do when your kids are at home? I don't know what they're fighting over, but you might see a flash here in a minute. Anyway, how do we dream beyond what we think we can achieve? How do we achieve goals that God has set for us, and get out of our comfort zone, I guess is what I want to say. Izette could have gotten out of his comfort zone. He didn't want to leave his village. He didn't want to leave his people. He didn't want to leave his mother and father, even though it would have been the best for him probably in the long run. How do we reach our goals and get out of our comfort zone and do the things that God would have us to do? It's easy for me. It's easy for all of us to do the things that, we're good with. We've done it before. We can do it again. We can help our friends. We can help our neighbors. We can work at the food pantry. But God calls us to do much more than that. He calls us to evangelize, basically, and I don't think very many of us are comfortable with that at all. He calls us to visit the sick, and here we are all confined in our house. He calls us to step outside of ourselves, and he calls us to visit people in prison. I've never done that. Don't know if I can, but we're called to do that. We're called to reach the people that are unreachable. We're called to reach out to the lepers. We're called to do things that we don't want to do. And we're called to reach the potential that he's given us. So that's kind of where I came from with this story. If you look at Izette's father and his hopes for his son, and you look at our Heavenly Father and his hopes for us as well, then you kind of see the parallel in this story. We can do things like we can feed the poor and we can clothe the naked and we can do those kinds of things that are kind of hands-off, but it's the hands-on in the trenches makes me very uncomfortable kind of things that we're called to do as well. But the good news is that even when we fall short, just like Izette's father, he loved his son still, and he supported his son. And God will do the same for us. But in the meantime, I just want you to think about what it is that, what potential have you left untapped? Where can we, as a church and as a people, stretch and learn to adapt? It's kind of like doing this video. Hey, I'm good now if I can do a video. But remember that you are always loved, and that even when you fail, thank goodness, or we'd all be in a little trouble. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and if I scared you, like got real close and scared you, let me know, and we'll see if this works. It's all new. We might just do this next time as just a written set of questions, and y'all get back to me. But in the meantime, miss you guys. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. And here, you want to see the ones that were causing trouble? Birdie, Birdie, come look. That's Birdie, and that's Macy. And we're signing off. See you later. Bye.